Hi, my name's Harry Spinks and I'm a farrier who's based in the UK. Today we're going to be doing a video on stud holes, how we put them in and what they're used for. And the horse that we're going to be shoeing is an eventer that's got an event coming up in the next week, and it needs some extra grip when it's going on the grass. At the moment, Jake is starting the stud hole process and he's using just a little drill bit and he's going to drill through, which makes using the 3/8 drill bit a lot easier because it's already got a pilot hole in there. He'll then use a 3/8 drill bit, which is the exact size that we want for the stud hole, because that's the size of the stud. And on that will have a countersink as well, which makes it a lot easier for the client to screw in and screw out that stud, because over time with a shoe, especially as it's in work, that stud hole will wear down, but the countersink just allows a little less wear on that hole itself, and so it's easier to screw in and out. And then the final bit is he's using an impact driver just to tap that stud hole so it has a screw on it so that the actual stud itself can be put in and put out again. This is the grinder. The grinder is used to just take the edges off the shoes, really. We remove it so that A, it's a bit safer so that there's no sharp edges on it, and B, so that we can profile that shoe to how we want it to be. So for example, if the horse is high outside, low inside, we can take that outside down on the shoe as well as the foot, which then gives a better foot balance overall over time. And we can, as I said, you can also take the edges off the shoes, which allows that shoe to not get caught and essentially prevent any form of overreaching in theory. In practice, 50-50.
Tiny little hole at this toe, so that's why we're packing it. I'm packing it with a product called Who Stuff, which is really good. Antibacterial product, I imagine. This would be some form of seedy toe, which is a symbiotic relationship between a fungus and a bacteria, and just gets into little cracks and crevices within the foot. Potentially there's a crenna under there as well. Crenna's just a little divot to the pedal bone, which is relatively normal on a lot of horses. And the hoof stuff will just be pushed in and just stay underneath that shoe for the duration of the shoeing. So this horse is going eventing. So we've got some stud holes in them. The stud holes are drilled and tapped. We drill all of ours because we find that you get a more uniform shape. So, and most of the studs that you find are 3/8 tap, so 3/8 of an inch, but you do, especially on the continent, get some that are 5/16, so they're slightly smaller. But studs are basically there for grip. So when you're eventing, especially when you're doing dressage on grass or jumping on grass, the grass can be quite slippery. So what you find is some horses just need a little bit extra traction in there just to compensate for the fact that their foot is slipping all over the place. It's just like a footballer with the studs that they wear. It's a very similar principle. Just with these, we can unscrew them and screw them in so that the horse isn't jacked up for when it's walking along concrete. Most of the time, especially in the UK, you'll see 1 or 2 studs. Depends on the horse. If the horse is quite close in front, then potentially put 1 stud in, because we don't want them to stud themselves. So that's where they injure the top of the coronary band, because they stand on it with a stud hole. But with a lot of horses, we end up putting 2 in because it gives them a bit more balance. The downside to studs is that when the foot lands and loads, it's designed to slide. So that foot lands, loads, slides, and then breaks over and takes off. But with a stud hole in there, you do prevent that slide slightly, but it is a bit of a toss-up sometimes between the horse's job, which is going to be eventing and the safety and the natural slide of that foot. And for a lot of eventers, we just go, it's a bit more about the safety option and just giving them that added grip allows them to just slide over, or just to grip, sorry, on that turf rather than slide out and go all over the place. Again, the shiny bit on the shoe is where the shoe's been ground up, and that's for a few reasons, not just to make it look pretty, but it allows you to take the edge off the shoe, which when it's on the bottom of the shoe, that will help prevent the shoe from overreaching. So you just chamfer off the edges, and when it's on the top of the shoe, you can change the profile of the shoe to compensate for the conformation of the foot or the limb. So especially on hind feet and in front feet, but we should just take the toe off a little bit, so that actually that allows that foot to move with a bit more function. I say especially with hind feet, but with front and hind feet we take the toe down, and that just allows for a bit of a better movement. If you find that the horse is really wearing one area or not, you can artificially wear that before you put the shoe on, which eases that movement and eases that new shoe into place. It just takes all the edges off, so there's no sharp edges there.
If you liked what you see today, then please like and subscribe and share the video, and we will be producing regular content now about the way that we shoe and how you can help your horses at home, and how as farriers you can maybe try different tips and tricks to help the horses in your care.